Okay, now let's talk about the editing process. I'm going to take you through some of the major techniques of editing, and I'm going to do so in iMovie. So if you have a Mac, you can follow along. If you're using Windows, you'll be using a different program, but the ideas are still the same, and oftentimes many of the symbols used are still the same. Okay, here we are in Adobe Premiere. It's not iMovie as I promised. I was having a little trouble with it, so I just went with Adobe Premiere, which is what I usually use to edit, but the basic principles should be the same regardless of what software you're using. So let's take a quick tour here. So usually your video editing software is going to have at least 3 main windows that you're going to be using. The first one is going to be where you put all your clips. You'll need to import them into the program. And so I've already imported some in here, but and arranged them into some folders, but you'll need to import them. You might need to right click and hit import, or you might need to go up to the menu at the top, whatever. But this is where you're going to go to find all the clips that you're going to use to build your movie with. The next main window of every editing program is going to be a timeline. This is down here in this case. And what you can do is you can just pick a clip and you can drag it down to the timeline, and now you've got it on your timeline. If you have a couple of clips that you want to make your movie out of, you can drag that down. Now you've got 2 clips, and now your movie is all of this. Let's drag one more clip down. So there you go. Now we've got a full movie here down on the timeline. And then the third main window that's going to be in every editing program is going to be your viewing window. This is going to allow you to watch your movie and see how it is. You can usually scroll through and you can look at whatever particular frame you want. If you want to refine your edits between your clips, you'll go to that and you'll say, oh, okay, well, I want to stop this clip before I get up here. That's me after I finish shooting. So there's a way, every editing program is going to have a way to cut off the end of the clip. In this particular case, there's a little razor blade tool here, and I can go over here, click it. It cuts the clip into 2 pieces. Then I can select this piece and just hit delete, and it's gone. And I can slide this clip down. And then this is a clip of a woodpecker. And let's say we want the clip to start right before the woodpecker flies into frame. So once again, go over to the razor, cut it into 2 pieces, select the first piece, hit delete, and now we've got the first 2 clips cut to where we want them. So it goes from me talking to the woodpecker on the tree. Beautiful. Now most programs will allow you to add little effects between your shots. In this particular program, we've got a whole window over here. Some programs might use drop-down menus. A lot of times there are little windows like this. So if we wanted to take this and let's say we didn't want it to be a straight cut, let's say we wanted to use dissolve, we could just drag it over, and we can't see it too well. Let me zoom in here. You can zoom in using the mouse, and now you can see the effect here on the timeline. And so if we hit play, it's a nice dissolve between me to the bird on the tree. And there's a lot of effects. Most editing programs are going to have a lot of effects. You'll probably want to limit yourself to either just using straight cuts like this, using dissolves like I just showed you, or using dip to blacks here. That's another good one. Most editing programs are going to have a lot of extra sort of effects you can use, but most of the time they're just, like something like this, it's just going to come off kind of corny. If you have a particular reason for using it, sure, go ahead. But you might want to avoid some of the transitions like this, unless you have a particular reason for using them. Okay, so once you've got your clips all laid out in your timeline like this, you may want to go back and you may want to add some additional things. Most editing programs are going to have a way for you to add words. So let's say you want to put a title. This is me here talking, and let's say I wanted to tell you who I was. we could just go over here and we could make a new title. Usually it's called a title card when you're adding text to the screen. So we could just, in this particular case, it brings up a new window here, and I can just say, this is me. And that is an awful font, so let's just quickly change that to something a little more reasonable. And then we can position it at the bottom of the screen. There it is. Now it's I've created a new piece of media here, and now I can just drag it down, and you'll see that you've got multiple video tracks here. And so you can just put it on top, and now you've got my name in front of me. It's a little small, but this is just an example. Okay, so another interesting effect you can use, which I think could be handy in a case like this, something I could have used in the videos I was making for this class, but I didn't because I was just making them real quick. But you might want to use something like a split screen or a picture-in-picture effect that they call it, which would allow you to show things on the screen in part of the screen. This is sort of like the newscaster effect, where they have the little picture next to them as they're talking about it. So let's say here is a picture of a mortarboard that I had made for something else. And here it is on the screen. And there's going to be you'll have to figure this out in the program you're using, but there will be some way where you'll be able to adjust the size of it, adjust the position of it. And so if I was talking about college graduation, for example, I could make this pop up next to me as I'm talking, and boom, there it is. All right, so that's sort of the basic of putting together a video without getting too program specific here. You'll probably want to look up some tutorials about the program you're using on YouTube if you're not familiar with it. But otherwise, this is sort of the basics of how you do it and some ideas, and just play around with it and see what you can come up with.